So hello everyone, I am Deepak and welcome to the step 4 of the video. In the previous video we have created till here, we have created these device selectors and implemented proper state management using provider. I will suggest you to watch that video thoroughly before starting this video. Alright, in this video what we are going to do is we are going to create this frosted containers. So without any further ado, let's get started. So if you look closely, these three widgets are basically considered this widget 1, widget 2 and widget 3. So these are inside a row and centered, right? Main axis alignment dot center. So we have already implemented this device inside a row. So what we are going to do now is, but this individually are columns, right? So we are going to create a column. So now I have to create this frosted container. I want it to be clickable as well. So I'll wrap it with gesture detector. I'll give it a child property. Alright, so I'll create a stack and children, and inside the stack I'll wrap it with a container and the child of the container. Inside the stack I'll create a first children, that is container, and give it a box decoration, and then I'll give it a gradient. If we look, essentially this is basically a gradient effect. All right, and on top of the gradient effect we have a blur effect applied. So that is what I'm going to do. I'll apply a linear gradient, and the colors are basically colors dot white dot width with opacity, and the first one would be 0.5, the second one would be 0.3. Okay, so now we are not able to see anything. Why is that? Because we have not given it any height and width. So let's just do that as well. Let's give it a height of 240 and width of 150. So we have given it a gradient. As you can see that we are halfway through. The only thing that is left is basically we have to add that blur effect. For the blur effect, what we're going to do is we'll add a backdrop filter. This is a widget in Flutter using which we can add this filters. So I'll give it an image filter dot. So we have to import that image filter from the Dart UI dot blur, and it takes a property of sigma x. These are basically the blur level on the z-axis and the y-axis, and sigma y, and give it a value of 7 each. Now as you can see, this is not having any effect. Why is that? Because we again have not given it any height. So we'll wrap it with a child, and that child will have the width. Basically this will have the same width as this and this. So I'll copy the height and width parameters from below and paste them here. Okay, now as you can see, this is basically applying the blur on the whole screen itself, right? So to counter that, what we can do is we'll wrap the stack with a clip arect. Using this, we are basically limiting the area to be blurred. All right, and also we can give it a border radius. All right, so this is what we wanted. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this widget, because we have to reuse this widget, right? We have to reuse this widget 4 times. So I'm going to cut this, create a new folder called widgets, and inside the widgets folder I'll create a new file called frosted container dot dat, and this will be a stateless widget. I'll name it frosted container and paste it over here. I'll import the Dart UI again in this file as well, and over here I'll add this semicolon. So now if I just import this widget over here, frosted container, the effect would be similar. Okay, all right. So the next thing I have to do is, basically if you look at this widget, this one has a different height and the below one has a different height. So I'll add a parameter of height and width inside this. I'll make these required, and over here I'll replace it with height, width. I'll remove this cons so that they can be applied, height and width. Okay, And now here we can see this is throwing an error because we have not supplied height and width at this part of the UI. So what I'm going to do is I'll give it a width of 247 and I'll give it a height of 395. All right, as you can see, this is taking effect pretty nicely. So I'll add a size box and copy this widget and add this below. This time I'm going to decrease the height because the below widget has a different height. All right, I'll give it a height of 245. Okay, these are looking pretty cool. I'll reduce the height 175. This is looking nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'll apply the same effect on the right side as well. So I'm going to see, we have completed this side. We have now apply the same effect on the right side as well. So I'm going to copy this entire widget and after the size box, I'll paste it. All right, so this is whole. Okay, so this is done. So in this video, we have this device selector working and the frosted container setup as well. If we look at the actual website, these are the frosted containers that we wanted. Now these are also tilted, right? We'll add that effect a little later. In this video, I wanted to focus on just creating this frosted container itself. So I'll see you in the step 5 of the video where we'll add color palette and the gradient change effect of the background. Okay, see you later.